What I'd like to do right now is share a few advanced goal-setting ideas. The first advanced goal-setting idea, it's a very simple concept, and it's to believe that these ideas work. Sometimes I'll share this information with people, and they'll say, Eric, you know what? I'm skeptical. You're suggesting to me if I actually write this down that it's going to come true? And I say, well, yeah, I am suggesting that. They say, well, I don't believe it. Now, the fact that they don't believe it probably will result in them not taking the actions. I believe that you greatly enhance your ability to manifest your goals and dreams if you add in a high level of belief, an expectation. What we expect to happen tends to happen. The next advanced idea is to create an audio tape with affirmations of the goals that you want to accomplish. And this is something that I've done, and it's very, very powerful. You simply speak into a tape recorder and say all of the goals that you want to achieve. And then while you're driving in your car or you're at home, you play this tape, or you could create a CD on your computer. And you just listen to it over and over and over and over again. Because we have different ways of experiencing information. For example, on this program, you're listening to what it is that I'm saying. And this is one way of experiencing this information. Another way is to watch a videotape teaching you goal-setting principles. Another way is to actually go to a seminar and participate in a live seminar. Another way is by reading a book and studying that information. It's very similar in how you might experience a sporting event. You could read about a sporting event in the newspaper after it's happened. You could watch the sporting event on television. You could listen to the sporting event on the radio. You could actually go to the sporting event and you could sit in the stands. Or you could be one of the participants in the sporting event. And depending upon which way that you choose to experience the program, it will alter how that information impacts your mind. It will alter what information you remember. So one of the ways to burn these goals into your subconscious is to create an audio tape or audio CD in your own voice and listen to it over and over and over and over again. The next advanced strategy is to create a picture book or poster board with your goals written on them. Seeing a picture of what it is that you want is another way of impacting your subconscious. Another advanced principle that I've talked about earlier in the program is the Mastermind principle. And there are many different ways to mastermind, and I'll give you a couple of suggestions. One way to mastermind is to identify a few specific goals that you'd like to accomplish. Select individuals who you believe could add value to helping you create an action plan. Invite them over to participate in this mastermind. Share with them what your goals are, and then ask them for their feedback, any ideas, any suggestions that they have to help you achieve your goal. Another way of doing a mastermind is to get together with a group of people at your work. Share with them what some of your work goals are and ask them for feedback. Another way of doing a mastermind is to get together with 3 or 4 other like-minded people and let them know that you would like to have a mastermind meeting where everyone is able to get benefit. You spend 30 minutes talking about each other's goals. So first you start off with you, for example, and you would share with them, my goal is to earn $100,000 in the next 12 months. And here's my plan on how I'm going to achieve that goal. And then for 30 minutes, you ask for feedback from those that are participating in the mastermind group. Any ideas, strategies, or suggestions that they can share with you to help you achieve that goal. You're able to literally leverage the brain power of those that are in the meeting. And then the way that you give back and add value to them is after 30 minutes, now you rotate to the next person. And everyone in the group focuses 100% of their efforts on helping that person create an optimum plan with ideas and strategies. And then you rotate. And then you spend 30 minutes on the next person. And then if you have 4 people in the group, you'll spend 30 minutes on the next person. Very, very powerful strategy. 1 out of 10,000 people practice the mastermind principle. Another advanced strategy is to hire an accountability coach. And I want to share a powerful story with you to illustrate the power of accountability. My wife and I, a few years back, had a vacation plan to go to Hawaii. My wife began to imagine that trip and what that trip would be like, and the food and the weather and what the beach would be like. And she began to imagine herself in a bikini. And she hadn't been in a bikini in a long time. And she thought, you know what, before I go to Hawaii, I want to get in shape. And so she made a decision to go down and join a gym. And she said, honey, I'm going to go down and join a gym, and it's going to be probably about $30 a month. And I just want to let you know that's what I'm going to be doing. And I said, you know what, that sounds great. And so she went down and she joined the gym, and she came home. And she said, well, when I was down at the gym, they have a special personal training program where you can work with your own fitness instructor. And so she told me that she made a decision to hire the fitness instructor. And so I asked her, I said, well, I'm just curious, how much does the fitness instructor cost? And she said, well, the fitness instructor is $30 per session. And I said, okay. So I did the math real quick, and I imagined she'd probably go to the gym 3 times a week and use the fitness instructor one of the 3 times. So it was $30 for the gym membership a month, 4 fitness instructor sessions, that's another $120. Okay, it's about a $150 commitment a month. So I asked her, how many training sessions do you plan on doing per month? And she looked at me with this puzzled expression like, what are you talking about? I'm going to the gym 3 times a week, so I'm going to be doing 12 sessions a month. So I did the math real quick, and 12 times $30 a session is $360, plus the $30 for the gym membership. Now it's $390. And when she went to join the gym that day, I was expecting a $30 a month commitment. Now it was $390. And I said, well, is this really what you want to do? And she said, absolutely. And so I encouraged her. I said, well, go for it. I hope it works out great for you. And so then it came time for us to go to Hawaii. And my wife got the exact results that she was looking for. And she was able to comfortably wear her bikini. And we had an amazing time. And I'm always curious to know what drives people's behavior. Because my wife, like myself, we've joined gyms in the past and never gone. In fact, I have a membership at Bally's, and I haven't been in over 6 months. Yet I continue to make the monthly payment. So I asked her, I said, of all those gym appointments that you had with your fitness instructor, did you ever miss any of the appointments? And she said, no, I never missed one of the appointments. I said, really? And in the past, you had had appointments before where you were going to go on your own, not with the fitness instructor, but you were going to go on your own, and you had missed those in the past. Is that true? She said, oh, yeah, I always used to miss them. You know that. I said, well, tell me, what impact did having the trainer have on you following through and taking action? She said, well, if I had an appointment scheduled, if I didn't show up to the gym, I would feel guilty. And I didn't want to feel guilty, so I never missed an appointment. A lot of times I didn't even want to go, but I felt guilty if I didn't go. Oftentimes, we will do more for others than we will do for ourselves. Oftentimes, we will do more for others than we will do for ourselves. And if you have children, you might have had this experience. Certain things, activities, things that you spend money on, you'll do for your children, but you won't do for yourself. And it's not right or wrong, it just is. And because of that principle, one of the most powerful things that you can do in advanced goal setting strategy is to hire an accountability coach, whether it's a health coach, whether it's a relationship coach, a business coach, because we'll often do more for others than we will do for ourselves. The next advanced strategy is a technique that I've used time after time after time, and it has helped me produce many, many results in my life. And it's this: put yourself in a position that demands that you succeed. Put yourself in a position that demands that you succeed. And on October 15th of 2002, my company, we put on the largest seminar that we'd ever put on in the history of the company. And prior to that program, our largest seminar was 220 people. And that was over 4 years of doing seminars. We typically would see anywhere from 50 people all the way up to 220 people. And October 15th, I put on an event with 4 of the most powerful speakers in the world today: Mark Victor Hansen. You know Mark Victor Hansen from the Chicken Soup for the Soul book series. Robert Allen, you may know Robert from the Nothing Down book series or Multiple Streams of Income. Dr. Donald Moyne, my mentor and coach, and Ben Gay III. And you probably recognize Ben Gay's name from The Closers or The Closers Part 2, one of the most powerful sales books ever written. And when I went to them and invited them to come and be speakers at my program, I didn't go to them and say, for example, call up Mark Victor Hansen and say, hey, Mark, I've got this big program coming up. We're going to have 220 people. Aren't you excited about coming down and speaking at that program? And not that a 220-person seminar would be bad. It's just that for Mark Victor Hansen, he's one of the top speakers in the world today. And that wouldn't be a very large program for him or the other speakers for that matter. And so I didn't go to them and promise them 220 people. I went to each of these 4 speakers and I committed 1,000 people. Now remember, for 4 years, my largest seminar was 220 people. And so I made a commitment to Mark Victor Hansen, and I made a commitment to Robert Allen, and I made a commitment to Dr. Donald Moyne, and I made a commitment to Ben Gay that there will be on October 15th, 1,000 people. Now, for me, I felt that I had put myself in a position that demanded that I succeed because I wanted to make a good impression. I wanted to do this event and create relationships with these 4 speakers so I could do business with them for years and years to come. I didn't want to embarrass myself. I didn't want to look bad. And so I had a lot of leverage on myself to go out and take action. And so I shared the information with my company and my staff, and I said, listen, we're going to be doing an event with 4 of the top speakers in the world today. It's coming up on October 15th. Isn't that exciting, guys? They were all extremely excited. And you want to hear even better news? And they said, yeah, well, what is that, Eric? I said, the better news is this. We're going to do our largest event ever. We're going to have over 1,000 people at this program. Isn't that exciting? And at first they were very excited. And then they began to think, well, Eric, our biggest event that we've ever done is 220 people. How are we going to get 1,000 people? And I laid out the game plan, and I rallied the staff together, and we worked like we've never worked before. And October 15th came, and we had 1,250 people in that program. Not only did we achieve the goal, we exceeded the goal by an extra 25%. We exceeded the goal by 250 people. The 250 people that we exceeded the goal by would have been larger than our biggest event up until that point. You go, well, Eric, how are you able to do that? A couple of specific techniques that I used. Number 1, I had a written goal with a written action plan. Number 2, I put myself in a position that demanded that I succeed. Here are some other examples of ways that you can put yourself in a position that demand that you succeed. If you're in business, perhaps you could hire an assistant. You could purchase a new car. You could make a commitment to a coach or to your family or somebody that you work with. Think of ways that you can utilize this strategy to cause yourself to go out and take action. This audio program, I've thought about creating an audio program on mastering the art of goal setting for several years now. And for whatever reason, I didn't take action. And I understand the principle of putting yourself in a position that demands that you succeed. And so what I did at my last seminar is I shared with everyone in the seminar, I said, I am putting together what I believe is the most powerful audio program on goal setting. And this information will teach you how to master the art of goal setting. How many of you, when the program's created, would like to have a copy of that program by a show of hands? And every single hand in the seminar went up. And I said, that's fantastic, because what I'm going to do for you, this is the regular price of the program. But for you pre-purchasing the program, I'm going to offer you a substantial discount if you sign up today. And nearly everyone in the seminar filled out an order form and purchased the audio program that I'm creating now. And I made a commitment. I said, in January of 2003, I will be shipping this program out to you. And so everyone that purchased on that day, they're eagerly anticipating this audio program. And I put myself in a position that demanded that I succeed. And that is one of the ways that I've been able to follow through and take action on this program. I've used that strategy over and over and over and over and over again. and it's made a tremendous, tremendous difference in my life. The last advanced strategy I'm going to share with you, you could make an argument that this is the most powerful strategy of the entire program, and it's called the bucket strategy. I was doing a coaching session with one of my coaching clients recently. His name is Noah, and Noah was sharing with me that he wanted to increase the amount of his cash reserves. And I said, well, what is the goal for the amount of money that you'd like to have in your savings account? And he kind of looked at me with a blank stare like, what do you mean? I've never had a goal for the amount of money that I'd like to have in my savings account. And I said, well, let me show you what I've done. I have some experience with this because, as I shared with you earlier, I've gone through a personal bankruptcy in my life, and I had to change my financial habits. And if, as you're listening right now, if you don't have as much money in your life as you'd like to have, one of the first things to do is to take a look at your spending and investment habits. And so I've made some radical changes in my life. And one of the things that I did is I set a goal for the amount of money that I'd like to have just simply sitting in my savings account. I set a goal for the amount of money that I like to have in my stock market account. I set a goal for the amount of money that I like to have in my checking account. And I set a goal for the amount of money that I'd like to have in my business checking account. And shortly after setting those goals, the money showed up. I thought, that's interesting. I had never set financial goals for the amount of money I wanted to have in cash reserves before. I set the goal, and then all of a sudden, the money showed up. Because if you think about it, when money comes into your life, somebody gives you money, you sell something, and that generates money for you, you get a paycheck, whatever the case may be, when money comes to you, as soon as you receive that money, you are going to spend that money. Whether you spend it on your credit card bills, whether you spend it on the mortgage payment, on your rent payment, whether you spend it on a car payment, whether you spend it in your savings account, hear what I just said, spend it in your savings account, whether you spend it in your checking account, whether you spend it in the stock market. See, I'm thinking of stocks like this. Most people think of it as an investment. And yes, it is an investment, but you're actually spending money. So why not spend money on your cash reserves? And that's the strategy I did. And then my cash reserves were built up in a short period of time. And I'll tell you this from experience. And if you have some nice cash reserves, you can relate with this. It gives you tremendous peace of mind when you have an amount of money that you're comfortable with in your cash reserves. So I want you to enjoy those benefits if you don't have enough money in your cash reserves right now. So I was sharing this with Noah. I said, let's come up with some goals. And we call it the bucket strategy. And I drew 3 buckets on my whiteboard in my office. And the first bucket for Noah was his business checking. And the second bucket was his personal savings. And the third bucket was his personal checking. And I'm not going to share with you the amount of money that he chose to put in each bucket because it's irrelevant. But he wrote down on my whiteboard a certain amount of money that he wanted to have in his personal checking, a certain amount in his business checking, and a certain amount in his personal savings. 60 days later, he came and shared with me. He said, Eric, you will never believe what I'm about to tell you. And before he could answer, I said, actually, no, I probably can believe it, but go ahead. He said, Eric, I filled all 3 buckets. I have more in cash reserves than I've ever had in my entire life. Once he had set the goal and money came into his life, he knew where to spend it. He spent it on his cash reserves. And I was fascinated at how quickly Noah was able to manifest that result. And I said, Noah, anything in particular that you can remember about how you achieved the result that helped you do it? And he said something that was very powerful. He said, Eric, what I did as I had money come in is I visualized the drawing that you had done on the whiteboard. I saw the buckets, and I saw myself putting money into those buckets. And from the moment that Noah shared that with me, I began to teach the bucket strategy. You see, it's fascinating. If it's raining outside and you want to collect water and you don't have a bucket out to collect the water, the rain will come down and it will be absorbed into the dirt, or the sun will evaporate the water and the water will disappear. But if you have a bucket As the rain comes down, the bucket is able to collect the rain. And I want you to think about that metaphor, because abundance is raining all around you. And you need a way to capture that abundance. You need a bucket to capture the abundance. In selling, I do a lot of coaching with people in the network marketing industry. And in the network marketing industry, one of the things that you need prospects or leads of people that you can call on to introduce your network marketing opportunity. So I'll often ask somebody that I'm coaching, I'll say, how many leads do you have right now of people that you can call on to introduce your opportunity to? Commonly, I'll get an answer of, Eric, I have 22 leads. I have 25 leads. I have 18 leads. I have 3 leads. I have 32 leads. And in most cases, the number is less than 50. And I'll share this with you. It's pretty obvious, but you can't build a business if you only have 30 leads. So my advice to them is I tell them, I say, listen, you need to set a goal to create 200 leads of prospects that you can call on to introduce your business to. And for most people, when I tell them 200, they go, Eric, that is impossible. I only have 32 leads now. And I say, listen, here's the exact instructions. This is what I want you to do. I want you to go down to Office Depot or Staples, and I want you to buy a plastic recipe box, the kind of recipe box that you can put index cards in. Then I want you to get tabs 1 through 31, and those tabs represent each day of the month. And then I want you to get about 1,000 index cards. Each index card, I want you to write one lead on the index card. And I want you to put those 200 leads in this recipe box. I want you to do that in the next 30 days. So we give them a goal to generate 200 leads in 30 days, and they have a bucket. They actually have a literal bucket. The bucket is the recipe box. They have a place to capture the leads. And every single person I've ever shared that information with that chose to pursue the goal has gotten at least 200 leads within 30 days. That is the bucket strategy. So you create buckets in your life, and there's many other aspects of this concept. For example, in my business, we're establishing a coaching division, and the division will be up and running in the next 6 months. Initially, we're going to have 10 coaches. That creates a bucket for 10 coaches to now join my opportunity. There literally is a space for 10 coaches over the next 6 months to join what it is that we're doing. And you mark my words, those 10 coaches will show up. We're taking my seminars nationwide starting in January of this year. We have a space for 6 trainers to go out and promote my programs. Right now I have 5 of them. We have a bucket for 6. One more will show up in the next 6 months. Goals attract. Goals attract. Other people have the goal to help you achieve your goal. To fund the nationwide expansion, my company is raising $150,000. As soon as I made the decision to raise the $150,000, I wrote a poster board and I made it into a thermometer. And I put $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, all the way up to $150,000. And as the money's been coming in, we've been filling in the thermometer. And I already know that we will fill that bucket. You create the space, and once you create the space, then the money will show up. The recruits will show up. The leads will show up. You'll lose the weight. You'll find the health coach. You'll find the business coach. Whatever it is that you want to accomplish in your life. The more you think about the bucket strategy, the more ways you'll realize how you can use the bucket strategy. Your brain will answer whatever question you ask yourself. Ask yourself right now, how can I use the bucket strategy in my life? How can I use the bucket strategy in my business? I'm going to share one last story with you, and then we're going to wrap up this audio program. It has been a tremendous honor and pleasure of mine to be in the studio for this time and know that this information is having an impact on you. And potentially, this information can impact people for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. And I also know that there will be some business owners that will take this information and they will share that 10-step goal setting process throughout their company. And it will transform their business results. There could be countries in this world that could take this information and they could set goals for their country and have it impact their country. So it's been a tremendous pleasure and another dream of mine come true and another goal of mine to come true to be able to put this program together and have an impact on your life. The last story I think is really the most important story of the entire program. And the story means a lot to me because it was this information impacting someone in my family. And the story happened just a couple of days ago. It's really been going on for a few years, but the end result happened a few days ago. My wife has a younger brother, and his name is Jason. And Jason, going out of high school, like a lot of kids, he didn't have a lot of direction. And he moved from house to house to house, and he took on many different jobs. He wasn't setting goals. He wasn't going to school. He didn't really have a direction in his life. When you're young, sometimes things happen, and things don't always turn out the way that you want them to. And Jason found himself in a situation where he really needed to reach out for help. And he had always known that his sister and his sister's husband, me, were success-minded, goal-oriented people, and felt that if he ever needed to, he could reach out and receive help from us. And so a few years back, he contacted my wife, and he said, "Is it possible for me to come and stay with you and Eric for 30 days? And my wife said, "Well, let me talk to Eric about it, and I'll get back with you." And so my wife and I had a conversation, and I've known Jason for many years prior to that incident happening, and I really care about him, and I wanted to help him, and I felt that if he did stay with us for the 30 days, that there is some information that I could share with him that could help him get on the right track. And so he moved in, and a month turned into 2 months, and 2 months turned into 3 months, and 3 months turned into 4 months. You know how that goes. Sometimes when people are staying with you and, it just continues to extend out for a period of time. And Jason ended up living with us for a year. And during that year, I was able to give him a tremendous amount of coaching, share success ideas, share success strategies with him. And one of the first things that I did for Jason when he moved in is I bought him a journal, the exact strategy that I shared with you at the beginning of this program. And I want you to know that one of the most powerful things that you can ever do, in addition to getting a journal for yourself, is to purchase a journal and give it as a gift to somebody who you really care about, especially someone in your family. And so I gave him this journal, and he kind of looked at it like, what is this? This is stupid. I said, "Listen, I want you to start writing your goals down. I want you to start writing down what it is that you want to have be different in your life and what it is that you want to accomplish." And I would continue to encourage him to do this. And after a period of time, at first he resisted it. And after a period of time, he began to write the goals down. Everything that he wrote down started to happen. He wrote down that he wanted to get his driver's license. He had lost his driver's license through a series of incidents, and he wrote down that he wanted to get his driver's license. And he had some checks that had bounced, and he had some fees charged against him, and he wanted to get that cleaned up. And he had some credit issues that he wanted to get cleaned up, and he wanted to get a job, and he wanted to get a car. He wanted to get his own place, and he wanted to start his own business. And this is somebody, for the 2 years after he had left high school, had accomplished very little and was not goal-focused. And every single thing that he wrote down happened. And a couple of nights ago, he and I were on a road trip, and we were talking, and he said something that it really, really touched me. He said, "Eric, you'll be really proud of me." And I said, "Really? Well, why is that?" He said, "Well," and this is right now, we're in December of 2002. He said, "Eric, I wrote down all of my goals for 2003. And he has his own business now, and he wrote down how much money he wanted to generate in his business. And he wrote down he wants to pay off all his credit debt, and he wants to get a new car. And then he said, "Eric, I remember the bucket strategy that you told me that Noah used? Well, I created a bucket strategy for myself, and I now have a goal for how much money I want to have in my personal checking and in my personal savings. And I want you to know, Eric, I've never had a goal for how much money I want to have in savings and in checking ever before." And it was so amazing because here was a person that had resisted the information that I shared with him 2 years ago. And now he knows the information so well, he could do his own audio program teaching these goal-setting techniques. And I asked him, I said, "Jason, you know what? I am proud of you. Let me ask you a question, though. When I first shared this information with you 2 years ago, and I told you to write your goals in your journal, what did you think of it at that time?" He said, "Eric, honestly, I thought it was retarded." He said, "But I was looking at my journal as I wrote my goals for 2003, and I looked back in my own handwriting, the goals that I had written down 2 years prior, that I was going to clean up my credit and get these bounce checks cleaned up. and I was going to own my own business and get my own place and get my own car. And as I look back down, I realized that every single thing that I wrote down happened. And I shared with him, as he shared his business goals and the amount of money that he wanted to have in his personal checking and in his personal savings, his bucket strategies. I shared with him, I said, honestly, your goals are a little bit too low. He says, well, Eric, for me, I think they're really big. I said, well, Jason, one of the purposes of a goal is to stretch you. All of the goals that you've set for yourself, they're too easy to achieve. So I encouraged him to set larger goals. And I joked with him even. I said, everything that you've written down that you said was going to happen 2 years ago has happened. I said, if you wrote down that you were going to have $5,000 in your savings account 2 years from then, 2 years ago, you would now have $5,000 in your savings account. So I encouraged him to set larger goals. And we were having a conversation about money. And he said, Eric, I'm not good at managing money. And I began to train him that change begins in language. I said, Jason, as long as you tell yourself that you're not good at money, you'll never be good at money. I said, Jason, in my company right now, I'm entrusted with about $80,000 a month. Now, I don't make $80,000 a month yet. I mean, there'll be a day when I will, but right now I don't make $80,000 a month. But that's the amount of money that's coming through my company bank account. And I'm the check signer, and I'm responsible for that $80,000. But if I was not good at managing money, there's no way I would ever have been entrusted with this responsibility of the $80,000 a month. I said, Jason, you'll never have money in your life until you make a decision to become good at money management. So Jason, change begins in language. And I gave him some affirmations. I said, tell yourself, each day I'm getting better and better at time management. Tell yourself, each day I'm getting better and better at time management. And then if you really want to go for it, tell yourself, I am a master of money management. And I told him, I said, go ahead and tell yourself that right now. I am a master of money management. And so he did it. And I said, what did your mini-me voice in the back of your head tell you when you told yourself that you're a master of money management? And he was like, my voice said, yeah, right. And I shared with him the law of belief is whatever you tell yourself over and over and over again, you will eventually believe. I want you to affirm that you are a master of money management. And I want you to tell yourself that over and over and over. And I want you to know that your mind can speak at up to 500 words per minute. Not only do I want you to affirm and say, I am a master of money management, I want you to say it in two other ways. And this is something that my mentor, Dr. Moyne, taught me. He has a PhD in psychology, and he taught me to affirm it in two other ways. Say, Jason is a master of money management. And then say it in the third person, he is a master of money management. I am a master of money management. Jason is a master of money management. He is a master of money management. Change begins in language. Now, he shared with me, he said, Eric, I think that's kind of corny. I said, you know what? I can appreciate where you're coming from. But remember when I first taught you about writing your goals down in your journal and you thought it was retarded? But now when you write goals down, you believe that they're going to come true. Isn't that true? And he said, well, yeah. I said, this is the same thing. I said, just trust me on this information. Follow through and take action. Jason is now in his early 20s, and he's well on his way to becoming a goal-setting master. He's manifesting the life of his dreams. And I can't share with you how incredible it is to share this information and have it impact somebody who's in your family that you deeply care about. And that's why I do what I do. And that's why I love what I do. Believe that this information will help you. Follow my advice. Listen to this program 7 times through. Believe in the 10-step goal-setting process. Believe, despite your past, that you can go out and achieve major success in your life. Remember, in my past, I had a bankruptcy, and my wife and I separated at one point, and my car was repossessed, and I could go on and on and on and on and on. But see, none of that matters. As Anthony Robbins says, the past does not equal the future. Make a decision to pursue your goals. Make a decision to go out there and create the life of your dreams. Nothing would please me more than to hear your success stories. In future programs, I would love to share your success story about how this goal-setting information has impacted your life, just like Jason's life, or just like Sherry Gideon's, or just like the story that I shared about the individual who was selling Yellow Page advertising. Send me your success stories. I'd love to hear them. I'd love to hear how this information has impacted you, has impacted your family, and has impacted your company. 2 last things. Number 1, if you haven't listened to this audio program 7 times, you know where to go. Start back at the beginning. I want you to listen to it 7 times. And the last thing is to don't just intellectually hear and understand this information. I want you to get out there and take action.